We are back, bitches. After our month hiatus, we're back. We're excited. Um, I've been sick for 2 weeks, but other than that, I'm excited to start the podcast back up. We're gonna give everybody. We're just gonna start out. We're gonna change it up. We have an outline for today's show. Straight up outline. Not a professional one. It probably would not get graded well, but we're just going to give some channel updates to start off. Go over some Everfest spoilers. Talk about the errata and bans that nobody's been talking about. I've seen nothing about it. Uh, Talk about some New Zealand Nationals, ProQuest, and then we'll just give you our free final thoughts. Cash these in anytime you want, and they are free for listening and subscribing. Actually, you don't have to subscribe. We don't even know how to track that. So just free final thoughts. So channel update. Who wants to discuss to start what we're kind of looking at going forward?
Yeah, I can dive into that a little bit.
Do it.
So, well, I suppose we should probably. I don't know. Did we just figure out a day, like the day that we're gonna do the secondary?
No,
Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday.
All right, cool. So, well, Wednesday we might be doing live stream. So, okay. Anyways, Tuesday night live stream, we're cutting out. We're nixing that. It was really good for the pandemic when people were all at home and not really doing much and looking for stuff to kill. But we noticed that stuff's just been dropping off with that. So instead of having that take up, one of our adult nights or having, to rush home from locals in order to hit that, we're just going to nix that and instead still committed to the Friday morning podcast as this will continue. But we are going to be doing more regular like secondary videos like deck techs, tier lists, going through and talking about like tournament results with people that topped whatever it is, like stuff like that is going to be a regular. That's going to, I think, Tuesday or Thursday is when we're still figuring out what exact date or day of the week is going to work best for that, but that's going to be regular. Basically, we're looking for consistency, want to have a consistent thing for everyone that follows us to look forward to, and then still figuring out the realistic expectations for live streaming locals and stuff. So I think that's something that we want to do, but we got to find a place that's going to be able to be consistent on their end to support us doing it. So that's sort of where we're at. A little bit of a rework. I like the outline, letting people know up front. I hear that's what good shows do. I don't know. Do we want to be a good show? I don't think so.
We'll just be us with a little bit of extra on the side, a little spice on the side. I'll be honest. I haven't played a game of Fab in almost a month because we took our little break. We did that last Tuesday night live stream, and since before the new year, I've been sick and have hardly left the house. I was supposed to go and run it on Tuesday. I'm still coughing too much, and it's been horrible. So I just want to get over the sickness because we got some awesome like spoilers, and I'm ready to play. I'm excited to get out there and start playing again.
Holy shit! Yeah, our spoilers, man.
This set is going to be so interesting.
I want to share them so bad, but it's going to be so good. Like, it's going to be weird because like just some of the stuff based on what we saw in our spoilers has me super intrigued for what the rest of the set's going to look like.
Yeah.
That and we're going to continue. We're going to do that live. I think we continue our live spoiler release. It's way more fun than not.
Oh, it's more fun to do it live.
Yeah, we'll script something out again. We won't have the audio on, have to redo it. We're just going to keep it all, all the same as we go.
Yeah. I think the live version gives like a chance to have some feedback and not be so just here it is, go. If people want to grab it and go, that's totally fine. But then I think last time it was cool. We got a chance to talk. We got some interaction with the comments and the listeners and people watching, it's a cool way to do it so that you can actually interact with people and have a conversation about it, because I think that's like one of the best parts about spoiler season in general is just seeing what other people think about cards and getting opinions. And a lot of times, like those first opinions, when you see it, it takes a minute sometimes to digest a card, and I love that you get that live with those live reveals versus the, hey, here's a picture of our card, see you later. Or a lot of times, like people do, I don't know, I personally, like, I'm not into the when people do like the big scripted, bad like high school AV club things where they have to like make a video for like project
That's
for
what I had. I had that all written down. God damn it, I'll scratch that.
We'll scratch it. Yeah, I'm not in. I'm out.
I will
Yeah.
say I do like those when they're done well. I like there's definitely some like previews from last season that were done really well that I liked, like the additional like God, was it's not Harry. Who's the Aussie that does the 3D animation?
Dave?
Dave?
Is it Dave that does that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What isn't he good at?
He's
God.
good at everything, but
It's
no,
annoying.
I mean, like, I liked Ravewinds. Like, Ravewind did a really,
Yeah.
like with the voice, like that kind of stuff I like the voiced over with some audio and stuff. It's the like bad skits that I don't like, when people are like sitting somewhere and they have like a bad script where like, hey man, what's happening? And you just get that sense that you're like, yeah, you weren't even in like high school drama club. This is real bad.
So speaking of spoilers, I don't know if I can say this, but we have more than one for our channel. I don't know if that's allowed to say, but I'm saying it. We will have multiples, so be ready for that. That will be exciting.
Well,
But then let's
another one. We're never getting another one. Thanks, Jason.
yeah. Well, you just maybe we only have one, and I'm just lying just to get more people to watch. You don't know. Now we don't even know what's happening.
We got 14 spoilers. We have.
Let's just start from the top. Give our little 30-second elevator pitch on what we've seen already, what we think, what we like. I'm just gonna start from the top down as we've seen them. First one I'm very excited about, and that's Volta Bridget Axie. Volta Bright Axe. Sorry, it was too easy to pronounce that I had to change up a little bit.
Had to do something.
Had to do something. So whenever an opponent draws a card during an action phase, create a seismic surge token for each card drawn this way. This would have been so good if Plunder Run was around. We'll get to that later. At the start of your turn, if you control 3 or more seismic surge tokens, cards you own with Crush gain Dominate. 21 health. I like the Strong Guardian. I don't know that her ability will pay off as much as you think, but there'll still be a lot of snatches and a lot of electrifies and
I like that it just punishes someone trying to elongate their turn. Like, it's like, you still, sure, you get your card draw. It's just going to be easier for me to hit you back. It's like, it's not like something that she's going to rely on to do her shtick. It's just going to be something that's going to allow her to do more in return, which I like.
It'll help guarantee damage with like the dominates, right? Like it'll help maybe with like the crush effects getting pushed through sometimes. Like she's also one of those heroes that makes me think of, I know a lot of people like the discussion around PvE is, one discussion, but I'm more interested in like, I like the idea of having characters, if they're going to have a format like UPF, right? UPF is a format, Ultimate Pit Fight, it exists. Some people like it. Some people have fun with it in a casual setting. And I actually like
you'd be great in that.
Yeah, like I like the fact that she would be good in Ultimate Pit Fight, and
really good.
Yeah, and she offers like something there that maybe she doesn't somewhere else, and she could maybe be in a blitz format in certain situations where people are drawing more cards and stuff like that.
One health is huge though.
Yeah, I mean the health is great. She's a guardian, so she has access to a ton of armor. So I mean she's a huge health character if you play like Sigil with her or Blessing, stuff like that. And she's interesting.
I do have to say one thing since you brought it up. I just want to say this now because I'm sick of seeing it. PvE.
Yeah.
People, stop with the PvE shit. If you want PvE, make it yourself as a community made PvE.
Yeah.
I do not want LSS wasting time working on a PvE. This is a competitive card game, competitive against the person ahead of you. Let them focus on that. Quit yelling for PvE. There's plenty of smart people in the community that have already made it. Let them run with it and have them make it.
Yeah.
Do not time on a PvE.
It's interesting because like Commander is a prime example of like a community made format that's really good in Magic that people love, and honestly is probably the most played format in Magic is Commander, because it offers something unique, and it's like, and it's a community made format. So if people want it, just do it. That's fine. Go do it.
Shane, were you gonna say something? Are you still there?
Oh, sorry. No, I was just saying it is. It's the most played format in Magic.
Yeah. So if people want PvE, I'm cool with people creating their own things for games and having fun with those kind of coming up with formats or styles. Commoner is a format that kind of exists in every game, but it's got to be modified sometimes by the community, and some of those things will get picked up. If it could be really good, and then they could pick it up. But yeah, I would rather they just focus on the official formats that exist in the game, because PvE requires like a whole new system and of settings and design, and it's like I don't want Jason Chung or any of the other designers spending their like precious time worrying about a format that isn't competitive in a game that's very competitive and has a very large money purse for this coming year.
Well, I'll stop there on PvE. I just had to say that. I'm so sick of people. Let the people that are making it run with it. Don't ask LSS for it. It's horrible. Life of the Party. That was a fun card that came out. I like that they do these like coax a commotion type cards.
Yeah.
And I hope they continue this on their supplemental sets. It's just super cool. On this one, it makes you pair it with Crazy Brew. I feel like this is another Cheyenne Kavdane card combo card that you can have fun with.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome in once again Ultimate Pit Fighting, which is a great format. So it's just another fun card that may never see competitive play, but we'll see play in other ways. Yeah. Not sure what you guys think.
I always make the argument that I think the one thing I will say about a competitive card game is that whether people like to admit it or not, we're competitive card players. That's what we like to do. We like the competitive side of things. But I think the reality is anybody who's smart in a competitive scene understands that the casuals are the people who really kind of foot the bill for the game a lot of times. Like competitive players definitely buy a lot of product, but for every competitive player, there's 10 people that go to locals who couldn't care less about going to a calling, and those people buy a lot of product. And you have to make cards like this that are fun and could have weird interactions, because people who aren't super competitive love to play cards like this that it may never, to your point, Jason, right? It may never see its place in like a competitive deck, but it's fun. It's good. It has a place in the game. And these are the kind of things that I think in the supplemental set, they're perfect. These are great cards to print in the supplemental set and around the supplemental set as, like promos that you get for going to armories and stuff like that. I like this as a style of card in the game, in terms of just creating things that are fun, that take up some of that filler space. You can't make every card a card that's going to go a competitive deck. So have fun with the ones that don't, right? Don't make bad generics, make fun generics.
You think, Dane?
I agree. I like it. I think it's a fun card. I think that, it's people are going to find a place for it, just to throw it in a deck, or even even if they're going to locals and they are competitive people, and they're just like, I'm going to try this bullshit because I'm bored of our local meta that's been the same for the last 2 months. Like, I'm definitely anticipating that this supplemental set's going to shake up what everybody's playing.
Mm-hmm.
And then depending on when they finally announce this fucking season, like, we'll have a lull where people are just going to be playing goofy shit. I still plan on playing goofy shit for a while. So
pummel Life of the Party. You heard it here first. OP.
All right, Dane, this round's on me. Each hero draws a card. Until the end of your next turn, attacks this target have -1.
Meh. I mean, if you think about what it actually does, it might as well just be, because okay, I can't pull anything up in front of me right now because I'm up in my grandparents right now taking care of them. But what I remember doing is looking at the card and doing the math on how wide they would need to go to actually get like a benefit to make this a good card that takes another good card slot, and they would need to go like 5 attacks wide, effectively preventing 5 damage in order, right? Like 4 or 5 damage
Yeah.
needs to be in order to make it good. Because like, what's it replacing, right? Like what's it actually doing? Someone read the card to me, just so I remember. Make sure.
Each hero draws a card until the start of your next turn. Attacks that target you have -1. So you would look at like a Briar that maybe do 3, 4, 5 attacks. They would get that extra card, so they might turn the 3 attacks into 4 attacks.
Yeah.
So you're probably netting 0 after all
Right.
said and done.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
But it was. That's what it was. Because I was thinking like if they go 4 wide, but they draw a 4 attack, like a 4 power, like a fucking Red Scar or something like that, like you're basically doing nothing for a card in hand,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So it seems meh. It seems meh to me.
no, I'm same.
Yeah.
Unless it's a side into like or a Prism. It's blue, right?
Yeah.
It is blue.
Yeah. Throw it in Bravo. You used to go up against Prism and be like, fuck you late game, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Or even Ninja, like
I could
makes
see a
their
sideboard
cutouts
against
easier.
Prism.
Yeah.
Sideboard
Yeah.
against Prism would be
Like,
really good.
something like that is maybe feasible, but I don't think it's gonna be like
A
everyone was
staple.
talking about Atsu killer and stuff. It's like I mean maybe, but like imagine if you give them like the draw.
Rob already kills
like,
Katsu.
Yeah. Also,
Like-
killing Katsu would require Katsu to be good enough to be worth killing, right? Like,
right. It's like
All right.
like as soon as I saw this, I just immediately had the thought of like I'm gonna give them that card draw, and I guarantee playing against me, they are going to draw the third of
piece
their
of their
pieces of
combo.
like they're gonna be sitting on like certain
Natural combos.
Yeah.
like surging Mugenshi,
Yeah.
and they're gonna draw the damn it.
You're like, I just
So what is
gave
this?
it to you.
Islander? Is that her name?
Icelander.
Icelander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Icelander. A wizard, an ice wizard, which is pretty sweet.
Mhm.
Hopefully they come out with an ice wizard specific card for her. If it's not your turn, play a non-attack action card, blue color stripe from your arsenal as though it were an instant. And whenever you play an ice card, an opponent turn, you create a frostbite. So if you put your weave ice, or I don't know, not weave ice, but
Yeah, you would put like the ones
Winter's Bite.
Yeah, Winter's Bite
wouldn't
would be really
too
good.
bad.
Channel
No,
like
I mean,
frigid.
Playing it on your opponent's turn. That's
Blizzard,
pretty
right?
disgusting, actually.
No, like this card is Blizzard's. Like this is like what you want to be having Blizzard in Arsenal, right? Because
Yeah.
you just
Or-
take away their go again and give them a frostbite no matter what, and they have
Yeah.
to pay 2 when I get go again. So it's like
and then
Well,
like
Blizzard and Winter's Bite, I think, would be equally
yeah,
pretty damn good.
I think Winter's Bite is really good because it basically makes them discard or pay 1 plus makes a frostbite, so it like taxes their hand multiple cards. And then I think Channel Lake Frigid is probably the most bonkers card there because you give them a frostbite and then now Channel Lake Frigid after they play like their non-attack or something, you know, they play a non-attack or they trigger some effect or they create something, or after their first card, right? Like they pitch to play their first card with go again, and you're like, okay, now the rest of your turn is really expensive. So your cost curve just went up. On the next card, it went up 2. And then every card
And
after
it's
that
not your
subsequently
end
won.
phase. So you get a free turn out of Channel Lake Frigid
Yep.
as well, because
Yep.
you don't have to bury an ice card.
Yep.
So you're going to get it on your turn in their turn, which is huge.
And unless they
On their turn, you in yours. Sorry,
and-
I said that backwards.
And then the other thing about her is because she's a wizard, unless they give her some better version, she plays Crucible of Aetherweave. So if you just have a second ice card in hand, you put the counter at the end of your turn, and even if you don't do anything else, you can literally just pitch an ice card to activate the Crucible to get an ice card in your thing to keep it around for an extra turn. Like there are ways in Wizard to manipulate your pitch zone with multiple things if you had to just keep it around, which is pretty crazy. So
I'm excited to
yeah.
play around with her. It's going to be hard building that deck because you're going to have to do it differently than obviously Kano.
yeah,
So
I
it will
really
be interesting building that.
I really like them designing into like the lateral design space, like moving like adjacent to other heroes and not like pushing, like not continuing to push.
Yep.
I mean, Runeblade aside, like they haven't really continued to like push a single class too far forward. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I love Ice Wizard. Fucking random, but I love it because I've been anticipating Ice Wizard since I saw the spoiler image for Zephyr Needle, and I'm like, Ice Wand, fuck yeah! Like, who's gonna put that as a fuck? It's an ice.
All
I
right.
still am convinced that someone sent that image in to be artwork, and they got them mixed up, and they're like, "Well, shit, I guess that's the Zephyr Needle art now." Like, it was supposed to be for Icelander's weapon, but whatever.
The last card that's been spoiled is my. It's probably tied with her, but that is
Yes.
it is one. The name is amazing. Whoever complains about the name, fucking get a life because the name is amazing.
It's so
Okay,
good.
Macho Grande, come on, that's amazing. I
Yep.
love it. I love the red and white striped tent in the background. You can't see it though, Dane, but there's a red and white striped tent in the background of Macho Grande.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that aesthetic now.
So when you play Macho Grande, like my first thought with Macho Grande was like Nacho Libre or Macho Libre, like all the
That's why I like it.
So like my only thought is when you play it, do you have to say macho like he says nacho? Or you just go macho.
No, you have to do the butt clinch.
The
like
butt
you're
clench?
flexing. You have to turn around like he does.
Sometimes you're a man, you wear
Wear
stretchy.
pants.
And like I just love how this card is just dominate. That's you. And then it's
Yeah.
got flavor text.
Yeah.
The strongest man in Wraith. Performance is always a mainstay and a fan favorite whenever the Everfest carnival roams. For you, the red and white tent roam into your local town, and you got
Yeah.
Macho Grande out there just straight
Yeah.
flexing on the folks. This will be the first blue, 7 cost, 8 damage for Bravo.
Yep.
I mean, you could whatever for Oldham, but Bravo,
Loves
like
this card.
it's a 3 blue of instant add into the deck immediately.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
The fact that I think one of the biggest things that people probably won't appreciate about it is the fact that it's a blue that works with Rouse the Ancients. Because a lot of times,
so good.
yeah, a lot of times the biggest issue is like the best card of the deck to rouse the Ancients with is your Cranial Crush, because usually whatever card you pair it with, you got to pitch stuff, and your pitch becomes weird, and sometimes you can't rouse into hammer, not because you don't have the show, but because you can't pay for the card.
You can't get the 13, 14, whatever
you can't
it is.
do all the pitching to do the rouse into the hammer or something else. So like this is a card that allows you to show it for rouse and then immediately just pitch it for hammer, which is crazy.
The reason that's so good is because when you pitch it for hammer, it is on the bottom of your deck, and you have an 8 cost dominate that you're going to be able to pitch 2 blue cards for to win the game.
Yep. So you pitch
because you're going to have your seismic surge, because you always make a seismic surge. That's why I'm saying you only need 2 blues, and it's just going to be inherent dominate. And if you have enough to pummel or do something like that, it's good. It's a really, really good card. Super excited. Super easy common card. Just this is what I was talking about that Azalea needed with arrows to have a big arrow that costed more. This is exactly what Azalea needs in an arrow, is what Bravo got. It just made him stronger. I think this made him pretty much tier 1.
Yeah, this is just like one of those and I hope that that's what Everfest does, honestly. I think that that's like the perfect supplemental set is using like the common and rare slots to fill some of the niche things that decks need to just kind of tick them up, especially the older decks, because there's so much in the pool for like the generic hero abilities of decks like Chain and Briar, even Lexi. Like their hero abilities are so good that they don't need a lot more cards. They need some more ice cards or some more like they need the elemental cards to help fill out their pool so they can fuse more consistently and things like that. The older heroes need like those niche cards that help fill their deck out with efficient things to finish games that they're missing, right?
Yep. Agreed.
It makes me have hope that we will see a huge ranger card. Like a card like this is like, okay, we're going to see a good common ranger card that's not broken, but helps move up Azalea maybe a notch from tier 3 to tier 2.5 or 2. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to bump them to tier 1, but just make them more playable and more playable.
So speaking of Azalea, that's I think the last spoiler discussion is we've got some of the spoiler stuff we've got isn't specific cards, but it's some of the art and the name references. The mats for the ProQuest, that's Azalea with Death Dealer, right? Like that double arsenal mat where she's like flying with the gas mask. And then we obviously know that we've got Bravo, the star of the show. So my question is, are we getting talented versions of the original 8 heroes? Or are we getting specialization cards for the original 8 heroes?
I think we're going to get special. I think we're getting majestic specializations because if you look at the majestic count, it's pretty high.
Real high. Yep. It's real high. Which I
don't love that.
That would make sense.
I don't love
specialization.
That. I don't love super high majestic counts. Unless it's like I will say Crucible, you would getting 10 majestics in a box was not out of the question.
Yeah, the pull rate needs to be really
make up
high.
For it.
Yep. Pull rate needs to be.
And
really high.
We'd average like if you got 8, you were like, oh, this isn't great. If you got 7, it was a horrible box. It seemed like.
Yeah.
So
as long as they do that, it's okay with the high majestic count. I think the biggest thing is if you have, for people who have like the deck that they really love, the biggest issue sometimes the high majestic count creates is that it's hard to get your play set of foils, which I know we're all, concerned about for just a couple of heroes or a hero each. And it's like, if Bravo Star of the Show is a new specialization, I don't just need 3 of them. I need 3 of them in foil to go with my 3 foil Terra Sunders and my 3 foil Macho Grandes, so it makes that a little bit harder. So, but we'll see. I mean, I'm confident they'll do a good job of it.
Sweet. Following the outline down to errata ban list. Oh, I'm so annoyed with everybody, and I don't go on the Facebook page as much because of this, because I have seen the same post like every time I get a notification. I click on it. Okay, somebody already wrote this an hour ago, and it just keeps continuing with the same thoughts over and over and over again. Either you like them or you hate them. Mm-hmm. I personally not a fan of getting rid of Plunder Run. I mean, I like the card. Not a fan of that. Whatever. I'm over it. I play Bravo mostly, so it's not like it affects my life that much with other fun decks. The worst part is I just put together Chain. So I put together a bunch of CC decks. I redid Bolt and Bravo in Chain, I think, and then have Kano ready to go. So now I got to tear apart Chain and redo him, because obviously I had 6 to 9 Plunder Runs in there. So
yeah, I mean, I think the thing with Plunder Run is it's a card that's one of the big things I give LSS credit for is so far, obviously they have Duskblade, but other than Duskblade, like every card that's been banned has been common. So it's not like it's a real big, the thing I don't understand is the people who are complaining about the financial side of it. It's like, I'm tired of building decks and then I'll just lose all my money. And I'm like, you lost $10 worth of cards. Like, I don't know why you're complaining about the finance. You can sell Grasp if you have Grasp. You can sell Creepers if you used Creepers. You can sell Arc Skull Cap. It's like there's so much stuff that's like universally good. If it's that's the one that I don't understand. Like that complaint is the financial side of it, because to me it's like they're banning cards that aren't even expensive. So what you're complaining about is that you don't get to play your smooth brain deck anymore, where you just go Plunder Run from Arsenal, Plunder Run from hand, snatch for 7, go again, I draw 3 cards of hit. It's like, that's not hard to play. Just play, like, there's a better version of Briar anyway. Like, I think the Channel Mount Heroic Force of Nature Briar is insane. That deck is nuts. Like the nutty turns that it pulls off, where it goes like rabble, like Channel Mount Heroic, Force of Nature, rabble is just silly, because it's just like, here's 7, here's 8, and then I get to keep Channel Mount Heroic, and then next turn you play a couple non-attacks, or you have some way to get go again, and you just do it all over again. And it's like the huge damage potential of that deck is just bonkers. But people don't want to play complicated decks. They just want the game to be given to them easy, and they want their free deck lists. And it's I think Plunder Run is a fine card to ban, because it's easy to replace and it's easy to put in the decks that need it. Like, that's my big argument is decks that need it can get a version
makes
of it
it
easy.
makes design space. It really makes a easy. So this is another thing. Is it gives cheap design space for LSS. Like that's a
Yeah,
free design
100%.
space that they
Mhm.
now have that they can kind of cop out and be like, okay, we'll throw a
Just make a ninja not attack
basically
action.
Electrify
Yeah.
is the reverse of Plunder Run and only it costs one.
Yep.
But now they can throw in something else that is Plunder Run for only Briar or for only Chain and a Shadow.
Yep.
So it gives them design
Yeah.
space.
It opens it up. It keeps it. I think the other thing is, to that point, the design space point, it also allows them to not have to worry about every card's interaction with Plunder Run, because you can't even make a class card without considering how it interacts with specifically Plunder Run now. And you can get these weird, because like that's the big thing that Force of Nature would do sometimes, is you would go like Plunder Run, Force of Nature, make an embodiment, and then now you've got a buff and you've got Mount Heroic, and people would be drawing 3 and 4 cards in a turn, and that kind of stuff just gets out of hand. I think being able to limit it, you can say, okay, what deck needs a draw effect, and you can build it into some other mechanic of the deck, or they can just recreate the card but say if the next attack hits, draw a card, because I think that's Plunder Run's biggest issue, is it's for the turn, and it makes those wide decks like near impossible to block, and it like the defensive side of it gets really problematic.
So Plunder Run aside,
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe I haven't. This card never bothered me. I thought this card was fair. I don't understand Ball Lightning getting. I understand its stack, but I also think it was easier to block. I think taking out Plunder Run so you didn't have that comboing with Ball Lightning makes
Yeah.
a big difference. That I'm shocked that they got rid of Ball
I
Lightning.
I was joking last night that I think they got rid of Ball Lightning because they were tired of having to answer the judge question about it, because the replacement effect stuff is just so annoying to have to deal with, because it's like, okay, so I played Sting of Sorcery, I play Ball Light. I can't tell you, at locals, I would just go to locals, and at least it felt like once every week at locals, someone would be like, hey, Blake, can you explain the Ball Lightning interaction with Sting of Sorcery? Or how about Ball Lightning with this? Or Ball Lightning with that? I'm just like, oh my God. I just like, I think it was just it was a nod to the judges and people who, always had to answer those questions at locals. Are like, we're just going to get rid of it. It's it's a pain to have to explain to people. So let's just shove it away and not have to.
Dane, what are your thoughts? I haven't heard from you. You're on mute, by the way.
I am sorry. No, I was just Ball Lightning's replacement effect takes place before the Arcane Barrier replacement effect takes place. Just like, yeah. So I think that's probably exactly what happened. No, I mean, I have been having a conversation here with myself this whole time. So thanks for I don't remember really much of what I was saying other than I agreed with you guys. So no real
So you were wait. So you were talking, not knowing you're on mute.
correct.
Okay.
Oh, that is a classic conference call. That is classic office right now. That's like at work. I have conference calls like once or twice a week, and we'll be like, "Hello, are you talking?" And she'll be like, "Oh, son of a bitch! I didn't know I was on mute." Like if you hear silence for after a while, I'm like, "Why isn't Dane talking?" And I click onto the Discord. I'm like, "Oh, he's muted."
See, I would have never known, because since I have all the recording stuff up, my Discord's in the background, so I don't see everybody's little boxes to see who's muted and who's not. So Dane would have been muted forever if Jason didn't say something about
Yeah,
it.
didn't hear much from Dane today.
Yeah,
Would have figured out when you guys, I mean, like there, right, where you went to ask me and you're like, "Hey, Dane, like you haven't said anything." That's like red flag number one. It's like, yeah, I have.
Well, that's hey, you know what? It's the first podcast of the year.
Mhm.
We expect things like this to happen,
Yeah.
Lastly, on the band restricted, knocking they knock her embodiments down to one instead of just, cranking out 3-4 embodiments and blocking for 6 with one card. So it's kind of weird. I honestly, when I thought about this, and I said this much before we took our little break, is I thought that they would make her lightning be only
Mhm.
elemental or earth or
interact
yep.
with the actual class cards or the elemental
And they
cards.
changed it differently. What I do like, I will say this, is when they numbed down chain and took away seeds, it made me want to play chain again. So I have a chain deck built, and I will focus on pulling the plunder runs and finding some Mavrians and some other things to put in that place. And if Briar goes away, then I will play Briar again because and you're in the same boat.
Yeah.
Like we didn't play those decks because everybody was playing them, but when they go down in power, it brings me to them.
Yeah.
We always have Bravo. Bravo's always here, so I always
Yeah.
have Bravo. But I like to play around with these other decks, and I've always liked Chain. But Chain was so prevalent, I put him down because I just didn't want to do mirrors. I hate playing mirrors constantly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is I do like the fact that now a lot of people put down Briar. You'll have some people pick up Katsu again, and you know what they said in the articles are spreading the aggro out, which it's good to spread the aggro out. I think Bolton becomes realistic again now.
Yeah.
Bolton might come back in the meta, so Bolton I'll be working on him. And by working on him, I'll be getting Adam's list, which he still has not sent me. So I'll have to talk to him after
He goes
this
on
and get that sent to
vacation
me.
and just ignores us.
You know what? Vacation's not an excuse. He had time in between his
Exactly.
vacations. He's been gone every weekend.
Yeah.
So
He's been ignoring us for everything. He's been shady about the Blood Bowl league. He's been shady about. I got him week 1. It's all good.
yeah, just take him down.
Yeah.
Which is funny because Mason is already plotting for his battle against Nick. Which these are all flesh and blood players. So he already knows the defense he's running. He's looked up to see the runs. He's like, okay, I got my defense down. This is what I'm gonna do. So he's taking the serious. So I'm pretty excited for that. So anyway, we'll talk Blood Bowl out. Well, wait. What's the corporate term? We'll take that offline, guys. We'll take that one offline. So next, and I won't do this every week, but it's fun to do it this week. Next on the agenda, bullet point number 4.
See, I like how organized I feel right now.
Oh, I don't mind it. Because sometimes I don't know what we're going to talk about, and then I just stare blankly at my screen. But this is better.
I feel like this is a genuinely productive podcast, and we don't have those all the time.
No.
Yeah. I mean,
not all the time.
Not
all the time.
To be
We've
fair,
had a couple.
there's things to talk about this time. There was a little while there at the end before we took a little break
we're just kind of make up stuff as we go.
It's like, let's talk about, like what if each hero in Flesh and Blood was a rock band from the 80s, who would they be? Let's this week on the podcast, it's like that's what it felt like it became, because there's just nothing to talk about.
So we're a couple weeks out from the New Zealand National, and this is the premier event, I feel like, for the Nationals with America. Obviously, America had a really good showing, and we're starting to see a lot of good players, but this is where we're going to see a lot of really, really high quality players in one area. I got my money on Kale. I'm going Kale to win New Zealand Nationals.
Always
number
Kale.
1.
Always Kale.
I don't know for sure what deck he's playing, but I'm guessing it's going to be Bravo, and Bravo's going to come to victory. Now, they do have to still play with the current pre-ban, pre-errata, so you'll still have Briar pretty powerful in that meta. So there won't be a whole lot of deck list stealing you can do after this event for the Pro Quest, because they're pretty much going to be outdated the day after they're played, because that meta is going to be completely shifted, being that then the ban in errata will be in effect, and we'll see Everfest cards. But it will still be fun to watch this live stream and see the high level play.
I like that. I like that we're going to watch them play like a really highly competitive series of games, and then no one will be able to net deck them. Or if they do, it won't be efficient. I kind of like that, not going to lie.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because the biggest thing is with the delay now, as soon as Everfest comes out, then we go directly into the ProQuest season, and there's not going to be any real direct correlation. Like, we knew things were going to change with Everfest, but I was talking to Hamish. We were talking about this, and he made a really good point that I hadn't thought about, and it was something that we talked about when he had me on the podcast. We were just talking. Push the Point, by the way. That's who I'm talking about. Hamish from Push the Point. But he made a really good point and said, early in ProQuest season, realistically, the decks and the things that you're going to play into probably aren't going to be that different from what you're seeing right now, because the first ProQuests are like a week, like 2 weeks after Everfest. And at that point, with the condensed release schedule, like the condensed preview schedule, maximum people get like 3 weeks of testing on Everfest stuff before it comes out. So unless somebody breaks something really crazy, with it being a supplemental set, you're probably just going to see decks that exist now, maybe with another card or two. Nothing crazy. And then it'll evolve as the ProQuest season. So it's interesting because a lot of times we assume like set comes out, the normal TCG regimen is like set comes out, meta changes, meta evolves. But realistically, it's possible that the set comes out, almost nothing changes. Then the meta sets itself with the first couple weeks of ProQuest. Then the meta evolves. And then we have a little break. And then it's like Road to National season. And it's like it's a really interesting way that like with the ProQuest season and Nationals ending and the Everfest release, all this stuff, the way it stacks with how the ban list and stuff is getting applied, it makes for a really interesting meta evolution that you don't normally see in TCGs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
So I don't know. I'm really interested. I think it's going to be a fun. Like we're moving into another competitive season now. Like the holidays are over. We're getting ready to see Nationals, and it's cool because New Zealand and Australia Nationals are kind of like it's like this is like a huge premier event. There are a lot of really good players, and then we move into ProQuest season, which is a whole nother thing. And then it's like it's this great thing where it's like we get to jump right back into competitive stuff with the really high level events and then go directly into more high level events, which is amazing.
Yeah, Chelsea's super excited about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, the wives are really pumped.
She's really ready for this.
I'm curious how many callings we get. The ProQuest will be nice having, but I don't think I'll chase as many callings this next year, especially my travel. I will say this as we roll into final thoughts. My son has a real chance of playing D2 lacrosse, and he's starting to visit school starting this month, and anytime he gets invited to one, we'll be going. So I know North Carolina is going to be in there, and we're going to be out on the East Coast this summer. So that's the focus, to try to get him into a college this year. So
is he applying? Is he applying and sending footage to D1 too?
He has sent footage to D1, nothing back yet. They just started recruiting 2023, so yeah, it's an exciting time. Like 2-3 years ago, I wouldn't even have thought that he would play lacrosse in college. Now he's got a chance to play for sure D3, but a good chance of playing at a D2 school. So it's exciting. So that's going to take up a lot of this next year. So we're kind of preparing our funds for a lot of travel again this next year.
Here you go. Speaking of good segues, speaking of school, have you guys seen the announcement on Fab School that Matt and Nick are doing?
Well, I think we've known about that for like 6 months.
Right. So we've known about it, but they officially announced it, that Fab School is starting, and they kind of gave some information in the video where it's like the low level is $8, the high level I think is like $40. It's basically all lecture based. And
well, for $40, do they give the courtesy of the reach round? I'm talking to you, Happy Man. Do you give the courtesy of the reach round if I'm spending $40 a month? Because I would expect no less than that. I mean, let's be honest.
And there's no direct coaching, which is interesting because I know like that was one of the things that people talked about is, if you spend a bunch of money, you get direct coaching, but this is all school. So it's like lecture based and instructional and breakdowns and deck techs and sideboard guides and all those kind of things, which I think, I don't know. It's interesting to me because I think people always do this in games. I think one of the things that we don't have any background in Magic. I don't know if people do that kind of thing in Magic, but in every game we've ever played, there's always people who kind of do coaching or some of those kind of, like I just, I don't know.
Power to them if you want to do that, and that's what you want to spend your money on to get, someone's advice for that. Do it. Like if that's what I mean, the shit that I spend my money on is equally stupid. So it's just stupid to people that don't understand it. If it's something that you understand and you're down for it, do it, man.
Yeah.
Whatever's gonna make you happy.
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to is spend your money on what makes you happy. For us three specifically lately, it seems to be small pieces of plastic that look like superheroes or
Yeah.
football guys that we can roll dice with and move around on a small board.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in February, it will be pieces of cardboard, some shiny, some not. We prefer the shiny ones.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
here's my money on.
Yeah. My disposable income can't go to Fab School because it goes to Crisis Protocol miniatures. And
Where are we at our free OnlyFans website? I need to get in shape for that, for when we roll out our OnlyFans Outcast Haven website.
I mean, it's rolled out. It exists. We just
Do you think people are going to be more wanting the thinker or the stinker? That's the question.
They want
The
macho.
thinker or the stinker?
You got to give them the Macho Grande. Hit them with
Ooh,
the Macho Grande.
See, but the Macho Grande, depending on where on the stage, they're either getting the thinker or the stinker. You know what I mean? There's people in the back.
You give them both. Give the people. Why not both? Give the people what they want.
But for $40 a month, you get the stinker from Jason. Call it the Macho.
40. God, you give me $2 a month, I'll give you the stinker. $40. I'll be curious. I'm always curious on how those Patreons do.
Yeah.
I still only subscribe to one Patreon, and that is FabDB. That's the only Patreon I have subscribed to, and it's because I feel like I'm paying $3 a month, which is very cheap, to have a system that other people charge their Patreon, but FabDB does it for $3 a month, and it has all the prices of the cards you want while you're building the deck, from like a bunch of different sites that automatically pulls them in so that it's got spreadsheets of the pricing. And I mean, they do it for free, but I just pay because I feel like that's something I want to pay for.
Yeah.
The guy spending 40 hours a week to make this a reality.
Yeah. I think those are the kind of things that I can logic the few bucks a month to try and help somebody offset the cost that they're incurring of their own free will, basically. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Like I'm
say
pretty stingy with my Patreons.
Also, in final thoughts, oh, this is so good. I'm not going to say any names. You just go look on Facebook if you want to see it yourself. Like there was a mini content creator little battle happening on a post where somebody kind of went after another guy, and then that person's
Yeah.
why does everybody hate me? It was, oh god, it was good. I was laughing. I had tears in my eye. I was laughing.
Are you saying that if are you saying there's potential that if Unseals did a Patreon, you would give them your support due to?
I would not, but if they wanted to attack us, I would love that. Like, come on.
I would. I love just the totally like fuck no, fuck them anyways. But still,
I just
the books though.
I like we've tried to be so controversial, nobody will attack us. It's like, so should we just be like really nice and genuine? People like, those fuckheads.
You know what it is? It's people are scared of crazy people, right? Like look at like the football field, right? Like when you watch NFL players, even huge scary NFL players, there are certain players that they look at on the field and it's like you don't do stuff to that guy because there are crazy people that will do things you can't predict their next move because there's no like boundary to what they'll do. They might strip their jersey off and run off the field in the middle of the game. Like those are the people you don't mess with Antonio Brown in like on the side because
nobody would now. The man is straight crazy.
He's nuts. He's lost his mind. I think I think there's part of that with us too. Sometimes we always joke
I don't think I would mess with Bruce Arians either.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah.
What? I'm done with your shit. Get the fuck out of here. Like kicking him off. That's awesome.
But that's why you don't mess with crazy people, right? Like maybe we've put on too much of a front where we're so willing to just say whatever we want and go off the deep end. People are like, you can't win a fight with a crazy person. You can't do it. Like I'm not going to pick a fight with somebody who I know will go way farther off the deep end than I ever would consider doing. They've got a Patreon to protect. We don't have anything.
No.
It's literally nothing. No.
I've got nothing to lose.
Dane, what do you have for final thoughts this week on our first 2022 podcast?
I'm really ready to dive head first back into Fab. Like this was a much needed hiatus. I definitely after Nats and after just like going through I think the thing that exhausts me the most is having to talk and put out content when there's really not shit to talk about. That's so exhausting to me.
It is.
So just instead of trying to push through that and taking a break, I think we, despite being fucking morons, lucked into a good idea. And just like now we're all like re-energized and ready to hit this shit hard right before Everfest comes out. And I'm super fucking pumped about it. I think this is going to be an awesome year for Fab. I'm really excited.
Yeah. I'm ready for Everfest and the rise of Kano because that's like all I've been. It's all I've played since. So I've played Viserai once and Bravo once since Nationals. Otherwise, every week, Kano and CC, baby. It's been Kano all
Ton of Kano and CC. A
Dude,
ton of Kano.
I am just so. I think I'm most excited for Illusionist cards. Because right now I get to play Prism again how I like to play Prism.
Yep, Prism's back.
Yeah.
I don't have to do like some weird shit to like account for Briar. Like I don't have to add in cards that I don't like in the deck to like make that matchup better. But I get to play her how I want to play her. And now with Everfest coming out, it's like I get to re-dig in. So just on my own, because there's no one really locally that plays Prism. I mean, I know that there's like
couple.
There's a couple guys I guess that do, but like no one to like really talk about the competitive build of her. And the fact that I was like 5 cards off of like what the Australians and New Zealanders that I talked to were running, I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm vindicated. This is all I needed. I needed to know that I wasn't an idiot, and I'm all about this. So that's what I'm excited for. Get me back to that.
Wait, I got nothing else. My thoughts have been finalized.
Yeah. I am final.
All right. Well, on that note, then, you guys, thanks for sticking it through our little hiatus there and coming back to join us. Really appreciate it. Let people know we're back. We are going to be doing this weekly Friday podcast back up and running weekly Friday. We're looking at either Tuesday or Thursday being our supplemental video day where we do either deck techs or, interviews with like prominent players, whatever that ends up being. But also looking at doing weekly matches. So picking a day of the week where we're just going to be uploading a match that we're going to put community post votes out for. So if you guys, Everfest comes out and you're like, dude, I want to see fucking CC Kano with this new shit up against whatever, Bravo, comment on our community post for that. And that will be the match that'll go up. And a little more structure, I think, coming into this year, which I'm really excited for. Because, just taking that step forward, going to make it even better. So, everybody, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for joining us. Peace.
Yeah.